Europe is dying a slow, self-inflicted economic death. And perhaps the most extraordinary part is that its own political elite has already published the autopsy. In late 2024, Mario Draghi, the former president of the European Central Bank and the man widely credited with stabilizing the euro during one of its darkest moments, released a 400-page report that read less like an economic review and more like an emergency warning to an entire civilization. His conclusion was brutally simple. Europe must invest an additional 800 billion euros every single year to modernize its economy, or accept long-term industrial decline as its new reality. Not dominate, not reclaim technological leadership, simply survive. When someone with Draghi's credibility delivers a warning of that magnitude, it isn't political rhetoric, it's an institutional alarm. Today, the consequences are no longer theoretical. They are visible across the continent. While the United States surged past a $30 trillion economy, powered by frontier artificial intelligence, deep capital markets, and the world's most valuable technology companies, China continued growing at around 5%, outperforming most major developed economies while transforming itself into the global center of advanced manufacturing, industrial robotics, electric vehicles, and next-generation automation. Europe, by contrast, stagnated at barely $21 trillion. In less than 2 decades, a staggering $9 trillion wealth gap has opened between Europe and the United States alone. Volkswagen, the company that helped define German industrial excellence, is shutting down historic manufacturing plants on German soil for the first time in its 87-year history. France is locked in a worsening fiscal crisis as borrowing costs continue to climb. Germany's industrial engine is slowing. And despite being home to nearly 450 million people, Europe has produced remarkably few technology companies capable of competing with global giants like Nvidia, Microsoft, Amazon, Tencent, Huawei, BYD, or OpenAI. Mainstream financial media continues to frame this as another cyclical downturn, another recession, another inflation problem, another energy shock. But those are symptoms. The underlying structural mechanics reveal something far more dangerous. Europe has systematically regulated itself out of the 21st century. While Silicon Valley captured the generative AI revolution, while China quietly built lights-out factories powered by industrial automation, Europe spent the same period constructing what has effectively become a $3 trillion compliance engine, an ecosystem increasingly optimized to manage innovation rather than accelerate it. And now, the bill has finally come due. The brutal reality of modern economic power is no longer determined by population, geography, or even engineering talent. It is determined by one thing: the ability to turn ideas into global monopolies faster than everyone else. And in that race, Europe isn't just losing, it is barely competing. Over the last decade, American startups have raised more than 3 times the venture capital deployed across the entire European continent. But the real divide appears later. When startups reach the stage where they need billions, not millions, to dominate global markets, the United States captures well over half of all late-stage venture capital worldwide. Europe attracts barely 14%. That single statistic explains almost everything. Because ideas alone don't change industries. Capital does. Capital builds data centers. Capital trains frontier AI models. Capital finances semiconductor fabrication. Capital builds autonomous factories. Capital allows companies to lose billions today so they can dominate trillion-dollar industries tomorrow. And that's precisely where Europe has fallen behind. Out of the world's 50 most valuable technology companies, only a handful are European. Companies like ASML and SAP prove Europe is still capable of producing world-class businesses. The problem isn't that Europe can't create great companies. It's that it struggles to create them at the pace and scale now being set by the United States and China. While Silicon Valley continues producing trillion-dollar technology giants, and China rapidly builds national champions across AI, batteries, robotics, and advanced manufacturing, Europe's pipeline of globally dominant technology firms has become increasingly thin. Meanwhile, Silicon Valley produced companies like NVIDIA, OpenAI, Palantir, Tesla, and SpaceX. China responded with Huawei, BYD, CATL, DeepSeek, Xiaomi, and Unitree Robotics. These companies weren't simply built on brilliant ideas. They were built on an ecosystem willing to finance extraordinary risk at extraordinary scale. Europe chose a different path. Take Northvolt. For a moment, it looked like Europe's answer to the global battery race, a Swedish startup founded by former Tesla executives, backed by more than $14 billion from investors like Goldman Sachs and BlackRock, promising to build Europe's own supply chain for electric vehicle batteries. In March 2025, it filed for bankruptcy. Its flagship factory was supposed to produce 16 gigawatt hours of battery capacity. It managed roughly 1. BMW canceled a $2 billion supply contract. 3,000 jobs in a Swedish town of 40,000 people vanished almost overnight. Northvolt didn't fail because Europe lacked ambition, talent, or vision. Northvolt wasn't just the collapse of one startup. It became a case study in Europe's broader struggle to transform promising innovation into globally dominant industries. While China invested hundreds of billions into electric vehicle batteries, industrial automation, and humanoid robotics, while the United States poured trillions into artificial intelligence, hyperscale cloud infrastructure, and next-generation semiconductor ecosystems, European governments increasingly defaulted to protecting legacy industries. In one remarkable example, millions of euros in recovery funding were allocated to modernize traditional Italian olive oil mills. Those investments may preserve cultural heritage, but they create virtually zero compounding technological leverage. An AI model improves itself. A semiconductor ecosystem compounds. A robotics platform becomes exponentially more capable. An olive oil mill does not. At exactly the same time, Europe's energy policies dramatically increased baseline industrial costs, forcing manufacturers to make a decision no industrial economy ever wants to make: stay and become globally uncompetitive, or leave and survive somewhere else. Heavy industry began relocating. Investment followed. Talent followed. Innovation followed. Instead of competing through speed, Europe increasingly chose to compete through regulation. The continent placed enormous faith in what economists call the Brussels effect, the belief that by writing the world's rules through legislation such as GDPR and the EU AI Act, foreign technology companies would eventually be forced to operate on Europe's terms. It was an elegant theory, but theory cannot replace execution. Setting global rules without building globally dominant products creates only the illusion of power. When technology evolves at exponential speed, a system designed primarily to reduce risk doesn't merely slow innovation, it exports it. Your best founders leave. Your brightest engineers relocate. Your smartest investors deploy capital elsewhere. And before long, your future is being built somewhere else. The deeper structural flaw destroying European competitiveness can be summarized in 4 words: the asymmetry of risk and scale. In America, speed. An AI startup with the right team can raise $100 million in weeks, deploy it into compute clusters, reshape an industry before competitors finish drafting a response. In China, scale. State-backed financing, industrial policy, manufacturing at a pace that turns research into mass production almost overnight. Factories that once needed thousands of workers quietly becoming lights-out, AI-run facilities operating 24 hours a day. In Europe, friction. Private wealth sitting in low-yield savings accounts, pension funds, real estate. Early-stage companies surviving, then hitting the wall the moment they try to scale. That financial wall forces many of Europe's most promising startups into an impossible decision. Remain small, get acquired by an American company, or relocate entirely. The continent isn't losing entrepreneurs because they lack ambition. It's losing them because the ecosystem struggles to finance ambition at the scale modern technology demands. When electric vehicles disrupted the automotive industry, Volkswagen, BMW, and Mercedes-Benz weren't defeated because they forgot how to build world-class cars. What changed was the battlefield itself. Modern cars aren't mechanical products with software added afterward anymore. They're software platforms wrapped in hardware. And increasingly, so is everything else. A modern factory, an AI data center, a humanoid robot. Mechanical excellence is no longer enough. In the AI economy, software has become the new engine. Europe prepared for the next industrial revolution using the logic of the previous one. That is becoming an increasingly expensive mistake. At this point, it's tempting to believe this documentary is only about Europe. It isn't. Institutions don't fail in unique ways. They fail in predictable ways. And the exact same forces weakening Europe's economy quietly destroy businesses every single day. So here's the test. Not a metaphor, an actual test you can run today. Pick the last significant decision your organization made. A new tool, a process change, a product launch. Count the number of approvals it needed before it happened. If that number is 1 or 2, you're operating like the United States. If it's 5 or more, or if nobody can even give you an exact number, you're running a European economic framework inside your business. And a leaner competitor operating on speed and decisive execution is already taking your customers. Technology doesn't wait for consensus. Markets don't reward hesitation. Innovation compounds while bureaucracy accumulates. That's the difference. Amateurs look at Europe's decline and see another political crisis, another recession, another cycle that interest rate cuts or government stimulus will eventually fix. Strategic operators see something entirely different. They see an institutional trap. Because institutions rarely collapse overnight, they slowly optimize themselves for a world that no longer exists. For decades, Europe built one of the safest, most regulated, and most socially protective economic systems ever created. That model produced stability. It produced prosperity. It produced one of the highest standards of living in modern history. But the world changed. The industrial age rewarded precision. The digital age rewarded software. The AI age rewards something else entirely: execution. You cannot sustain a $30 trillion welfare model on top of 19th century industrial productivity while your competitors deploy sovereign artificial intelligence, lights-out factories, autonomous robotics, and trillion-dollar capital markets. The mathematics simply stop working. The global economy no longer rewards the countries with the best intentions. It rewards the countries that execute the fastest. That's the lesson hiding beneath Europe's economic slowdown. This isn't merely a story about one continent. It's a warning about every institution that mistakes stability for competitiveness. Every government, every corporation, every entrepreneur, every business owner. The question is no longer whether artificial intelligence will transform your industry. That question has already been answered. The real question is whether your organization is designed to adapt before someone else's does. Because the future belongs to those who move first, not those who regulate first, not those who debate the longest, and certainly not those who wait until disruption becomes impossible to ignore. So perhaps the most important question isn't why Europe is falling behind. Perhaps the better question is, who's next? If you want to stay ahead of the biggest technological, economic, and geopolitical shifts before they become tomorrow's headlines, hit that subscribe button and join us. Here, we don't just follow headlines. We decode the systems, incentives, and power shifts shaping tomorrow's world. Because by the time everyone agrees that the world has changed, the people who understood it first have already moved. I'll see you in the next documentary.